senior class speaker is nominated and selected by the members of our graduating class. I knew you'd like that. The speaker for this class of 2010 is an articulate, insightful young man. It is with great pride I present to you Mr. Raleigh Bean.
Hello, my name is Raleigh Bean, and I'm very glad to be here tonight. If graduation was not that big of a deal, wouldn't they just hand us our diplomas on the last day of school? Wouldn't we just take our last final, sigh with relief, and walk out those front doors without looking back? Well, we know it's a big deal. We know it's important because we celebrate it together in many different ways, such as our Mass of the Holy Spirit at the beginning of this year, at the Moving Up Assembly just last week, our Baccalaureate Mass this morning, and our celebration together tonight. And while I imagine that graduating means different things for all of us, for me, it brought up some questions. I asked myself, when is the moment that this class actually graduates? To put it in a math problem, at what time, T, during this graduation process, do we seniors go from being students, S, to a graduate, G? And what is our velocity as we bolt from the gym following this service? Is this magical moment when we receive our diplomas or when we throw our caps in the air? For me, it's when we raised our senior banner to join the ranks of classes above us. Raising our banner to the ceiling represents three fundamental elements of being a Brave: choices, commitment, and legacy. The first one of these elements is choice. The most visible choice we've made as a class was choosing our class motto. Who's to tell us the sky is the limit when there are footprints on the moon? It implies that one of the most damaging choices a young person can make is to limit him or herself in any endeavor. A coach much wiser than me once said that there is an important difference between being happy with a performance and satisfied with a performance. To be happy with a performance is to take pride in our work, but always aspiring to do more. To be satisfied with a performance is to become complacent and resigned. We will never improve, never do better than that. We've just set our own artificial limit. From the single choice we all made to come to Bishop Blanchet, instead of, say, Seattle Prep, Roosevelt, or any other high school, think of all the unique experiences we've had together. Think about how different your life might be if anyone in this class weren't here. You would have missed Mr. McGill's energetic spin on history. I would have missed you at the incredible Kairos experience. And we all certainly would have missed you at the seniors versus faculty basketball game, when we showed them that youth and beauty always triumph over stiff joints and bad eyesight. That decision started a whole chain of events that over the course of 4 years has culminated with our graduation here tonight. Would you believe me if I said that we were shaping our character and our lives by the big and small choices that we make every day? Would you make your choices more carefully? Because that, my friends, is the truth. What you decide to do with your life is determined by a select few big choices and thousands of small ones. So if the first element of being a Blanchet Brave is good choices, then the second element is commitment. Some of you may recall that commitment is a topic that gets me pretty fired up. I bring it up tonight because I think it is a characteristic whose importance cannot be overstated. Your commitment to a sport, to acting, to your friends, to God, to whatever you choose, will determine your level of success. Are you the type of person who sees a job through to the end, or are you not? The best advice I was ever given on commitment was that there are two types of pain in this world: the pain of hard work and the pain of regret. You have all made one giant commitment that you can be very proud of, because it is no walk in the park to get where you are sitting tonight. Being a high school graduate means that you got up in the morning and came to school to learn for 4 years. But that commitment is almost fulfilled. But for most of us, the next step into higher education is staring us right in the face. The paths that lie before each of us will not be easy, and at times they will not be fair. You will certainly come up against adversity. You may fall, miss your mark, you may even fail completely. But if there is one thing that I want all of you to take to heart, it's the will to never give up. If you need inspiration or examples of the type of commitment that I am talking about, look no further than your peers. Sitting among you at this ceremony are the finest examples of dedication. Think about all the trophies we've won this year. Think about all the new school records and various awards. Many times we only see the final product of extremely dedicated people spending countless laborious hours practicing and attending to detail. So if we make smart choices and we uphold our commitments, we accomplish the third part of being a Blanchet brave. We leave a legacy that we can be proud of. And I know that he has been the center of much discussion lately, but in my humble opinion, you cannot put Mr. Bill Herber on a high enough pedestal. What greater example of legacy exists at Blanchet than this phenomenal teacher? I remember that the first thing I heard about Mr. Herber was that he was that teacher at Blanchet who had gotten hit by a bus 2 separate times. The second thing I learned about him was his notorious disciplinary method of making disobedient students grind through hundreds of push-ups. Having never met the man, I was absolutely positive that while Bill Herber was 6 feet tall, he ran his PE class like the Marine Corps, and he was so tough that the only person who would dare mess with him was Sister Heck. So imagine my surprise when I accidentally jostled the real Mr. Herber and spilled his Zopa de Oi while getting in the lunch line. Needless to say, my first disciplinary push-up lasted 90 seconds in the middle of first lunch. But what does this have to do with legacy? Think back, if you will, to Mr. Herber's speech at the teacher graduation just 2 weeks ago. Now, I'm not trying to throw him under the bus, because that does happen once in a while. But for those who weren't there, at the beginning of his broken and very emotional speech, he only managed to get out one word before he paused for what felt like the duration of an A-scheduled religion class. But the coolest part was his audience's reaction. You could have heard a pin drop. For a minute and a half, our gymnasium, containing more than 1,000 people, was completely devoid of coughing, giggling, and talking as we honored the man before us in silence. That is legacy. That timeless, intangible thing that every person saw embodied in our great teacher. Legacy is the banner, it is the footprint, it is the eternal memory of brave spirit that we leave behind for those who succeed us. Because the trophies that our class has won will collect dust and be moved for newer ones. The new school records that we set this year will become history until they themselves are broken. And eventually, even our class banner will fade and lose its color as it joins the ranks of ever-growing alumni. But the senior class of 2010's unique contribution to the tradition of faith, scholarship, and service will reverberate through the halls indefinitely. Very soon, we will be leaving each other. Some we will meet again, but the sad and bittersweet truth of graduation is that this is very likely the last night we will all ever be together. However distressing this may seem, I encourage you to remember with fondness and love the 4 years that we had here at Bishop Blanchet. I encourage you to remember what it meant to support something bigger than yourself, to support each other. And I encourage you to remember our class banner, for it reflects the choices we have made, the commitment we have upheld, and the legacy that we leave behind.